I do want to ask you genuinely, are there reasons to stay? Like, I mean, if somebody hears all this and he or she is like, fine, I know the infra is bad, fine, I know there's a lot of competition, I still want to stay. Are there good enough reasons to stay, or like how would you paint that picture? I don't know.
I would say that it's an emotional argument.
Again, okay.
So it's an emotional thing. So if you feel, emotionally connected to this place, then yes, because at the end of the day, you need to feel happy. And if being with your parents makes you happy, if participating in various sort of activities, the sort of culture. So India has a very mingling sort of a culture, which is not there abroad. So I have a bunch of friends who are in Canada, for example, and they very often complain about the feeling of loneliness, the feeling of alienation which exists there. So yeah, so it could be an emotional reason which leads you to stay here. Could be parents, could be your own things, could be, again, it could be the impact thing. The amount of difference that you can make in people's lives in India is immense. So those could be the reasons. But I think there is an argument to be made economically as well, that let's say if there is some sort of unique opportunity that you can exploit in India, then that could be the case. But those sort of opportunities which you can uniquely exploit in India is very, very little.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if this is an emotional reason, but some people may not want to go because they don't like outsiders. Is that I mean,
yes.
I mean,
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's an emotional, cultural,
yeah.
It's a cultural reason. See, it would be stupid to deny that idiots exist in all parts of the globe. You will find, people telling you to go back to your own country. But you will find those idiots in India as well.
Yeah.
You will find people in Bangalore as well telling folks from North India to, go back to your state. So idiots exist everywhere. It is, what sort of idiocy, what sort of idiotic behavior you are willing to tolerate.
And for what money?
And for what money? So
everything has a price.
Yeah. So that exists. So that is potentially a reason. The other thing is that a large number of people are culturally not aligned to the sort of westernized culture which exists. We tend to be extremely nosy, which is not really a phenomena that exists across the globe. I have seen people, and so Jaipur is an example that I like to give. Jaipur doesn't really have a flat culture, as in flats, big housing societies. Jaipur is still very much a colony-based culture where there are independent houses and stuff. And what's happening with somewhere else? So they are very friendly with their neighbors. There is some sort of activity which happens in their colonies with their neighbors, and they're very well connected. You don't find that sort of connection that exists in the housing societies which exist. And I have had that argument with large number of my friends in Jaipur who live in houses. I just tell them, boss, living in a flat is so much more convenient. There are so many facilities that a housing complex can provide you. There are pools, there are activities for kids. And, you don't really, I genuinely don't even know all the 4 people who live above me and the 4 people below me. And I'm not that connected, and that's personally fine with me. People who are living in colonies, they see that as a problem. I see that as a problem of privacy. If anyone and everyone knows what I'm doing, if I'm having a party at my house, etc. But people want that sort of a connection. So people find it difficult to move from a colony-based culture to a flat-based culture even. And my parents are a part. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. So my parents used to, when I moved to Jaipur in 2015, and I directly moved into a housing complex.
Oh.
My parents used to live in a house that they had. it took me 5 years to convince them to move to a flat because they were very, very comfortable in the colony culture. I know everyone here. There is, I have connections here. It will be very difficult for me to make connections in a new place. So there was an uprooting element.
Yeah.
But there was also an argument that, housing complexes, flats are really cold. They don't have a warm feeling about them.
Fancy prisons, I suppose.
Yeah. So a lot of people feel that way. So, I can keep on giving rational arguments how about living in a housing complex is significantly better than an independent house. In an independent house, if the electricity goes, it's your problem. If something stops working, it's your problem. You have to figure out. In a housing, you don't have space. Often, you don't have big houses where your kids can play around. In a housing complex provides that you cannot have a swimming pool in your house. Until and unless you're uber rich, you will not have a swimming pool in your house. But most housing societies have these multiple facilities. But so that is all a rational argument that I can make for people to move. But people find it difficult to move in the same city from a colony to a housing complex for emotional reasons. Analytically, this would be better, but it doesn't happen. So it's the same argument that can be extended to moving from Jaipur to Bangalore or from Bangalore to Seattle.
So I think right now, I think we there's sort of like segueing into fire as well, in the sense that what does it mean to have a good life, or like how can you have a good life? In the sense that I don't know if this is the right segue, but like when you spoke about can you have a swimming pool? Not everyone can have a swimming pool, but I feel the thinking again, this sort of connects to like why people may not also choose to go abroad, is because I feel many people assume that they will not be average, in their outcomes, right? In their life outcomes. I do feel like many people might think that India is average, and the average income is $3,000, but my income will be $30,000, or my income will be. I don't know how true that might be in terms of I don't know, just because due to the opportunities or things like that, or how much money they'll end up making. Maybe there might be a disconnect. Is that a fair argument? Or
I see you. If you can speak in English in India, you will be in the top 2% of India. If you are a first generation immigrant who is going abroad, it's highly unlikely that you will not. You are not going to be Sundar Pichai, and forget Sundar Pichai. You are not going to be a Google engineer as well. It's highly unlikely that you will end up becoming an engineer at Google and be in the 1% or top 2%, top 5% there. You will probably be a little above the median. So what you're essentially comparing is that, okay, I'm in 1% here versus I'm the 30th percentile there. So why should I become a 30th percentile person versus a 1% here? I think that's the wrong way of looking at things. What you need to look at is that how is my life as a 1%er here versus how is my life as a 30th percentile there. Yes, here you are, top of the top, and there you are slightly above average. Why do I want to move from the top to slightly above average? That's the wrong way of looking at things. What you need to look at is, what is it that I'm getting here? How happy I am here? Is the probability, you don't know until and unless you go, is the probability of me being happier higher abroad or higher in India? For most people, I believe if you leave aside the emotional aspects, and emotions form a large part of being happy. So if you leave the emotions are different for everyone. So that's one part of it. But if you leave the emotional aspect, 30th percentiler there will have a better life than a 1 percentiler here because of the same infra, pollution, corruption, adulterated food, adulterated toxic air, adulterated water, people fights on the road, large number of people. So yeah, those challenges don't really go away. And it's perfectly okay being a 30th percentiler because what do you get as a 1 percentiler here? Not much.